So today I'm talking about the silent movie star Wallace Reid, who died in 1923 at the age of 31.
Wallace Reid, also known as Wally Reid, was an American actor in silent movies. He was a matinee idol because of his good looks. A movie magazine named him the screen's most perfect lover. He was born William Wallace Halleck Reid in St. Louis, Missouri, into a show business family on the 15th of April, 1891. His father was James Halleck Reid, known as Hal Reid. He was an actor and playwright, and his mother, Bertha Westbrook, was an actress. He had an elder half-sister called Hazel, who was born in 1882, and a younger half-brother called James. Wallace's father was married 3 times. Hazel was from the first marriage, Wallace was from the second marriage, and James was from the third marriage. Wallace performed on stage when he was a boy. He was a great athlete, and he was musically gifted and could play the banjo, drums, piano and violin. He also had a brief career as a racing driver. Wallace's father, Hal Reid, as well as being a stage actor and playwright, went into the fledgling movie business in 1910 as a screen actor, director and writer. Wallace accompanied his father, and he hoped to become a director or cameraman. He approached Vitagraph Studios with one of his father's scripts, hoping to turn it into a movie with him as the director. But when the studio executives looked at him, they realised he had the handsome features and physique for a movie star. He appeared in what was known as shorts, which are short movies, from 1910 until 1914. Shorts were popular at the beginning of the movie industry. He even directed some of these shorts. When he was working for the Nestor Film Company, which merged with Universal Pictures, he met his wife, actress Dorothy Davenport, who was also from an acting family. She was a good horsewoman and apparently did a lot of her own stunts in her movies. They got married in 1913. They performed together in several films, including His Only Son in 1912. Here they are in the movie. Then his first feature film was in 1915, The Birth of a Nation, in the role of Jeff the blacksmith. He had an uncredited role in the movie Intolerance the following year. Both movies were directed by D.W. Griffith. Wallace acted in movies of different genres: comedies, dramas, westerns, racing movies and thrillers. He acted with all the top female stars at the time. Florence Turner, who was known as the Vitagraph Girl. She had joined Vitagraph Studios in 1906. The actors and actresses' names were not known. There wasn't credits on the screen naming them, so some of the actors and actresses were given names associated with the studio they worked for. He worked with Lillian Gish, Elsie Ferguson, Mae Murray, Gloria Swanson, Agnes Ayres and Bebe Daniels. I watched the 1921 silent comedy drama movie The Affairs of Anatole, which was directed by Cecil B. DeMille. Gloria, Agnes and Bebe were all in that movie with Wallace. Gloria Swanson was amazing. As well as being an actress and a producer, she set up an invention company in 1939 called Multiprizes. One of the people working at the company, Richard Kobler, developed the dictaphone and speed dial on telephones. Agnes Ayres, the actress who played opposite Rudolph Valentino in The Sheik, lost her fortune in the Wall Street crash of 1929. Bebe Daniels was married to actor Ben Lyon. She was the victim of stalking. Her stalker was 36-year-old World War I veteran Albert F. Holland. He thought they had gone to school together and were married. He broke into Bebe's hotel room in San Francisco, was arrested and sent to the Arizona State Asylum. He escaped and sent Bebe 150 love letters. He was arrested again and put into a mental hospital. There was more harassment, so there was a trial in Los Angeles in 1934, and he was committed to a mental hospital again. Bebe and Ben moved to London with their 2 children the following year. They worked in radio and had a show called Life with the Lions, which was then developed for television. Here is Bebe and Ben during the trial. Wallace acted in over 100 shorts. He signed up with producer Jesse L. Lasky and made over 60 movies for his studio, Lasky's Famous Players, which later became Paramount Pictures. He acted in a series of films as a race car driver in The Roaring Road, Double Speed, Excuse My Dust, and Too Much Speed. Wallace acted with his son, Wallace Reid Jr., in the movie Excuse My Dust. Here they are in the movie. When he was making The Valley of the Giants in 1919, the film company were travelling in a train to get to a location. According to a newspaper article in the Moving Picture World, the caboose carrying Wallace and other people involved in the production jumped the track on a trestle bridge near Arcata, California. It overturned, injuring the people on board. Wallace suffered a 3-inch scalp wound which required 6 stitches to close. Grace Darmond was the leading lady of the movie. She suffered bruises and minor cuts. Grace apparently was the lover of Jean Acker, Rudolph Valentino's first wife. Wallace was a top male star, and so his movies made profits for the studio. So instead of letting him have time off to recover, a studio doctor gave him morphine for his pain so that he could continue working on the film. The story is that they kept giving him morphine to keep him working on the numerous films he made. Dorothy got him into a couple of sanitariums, but in those times people didn't know much about drug addiction and drug rehabilitation. He was in the Banksia Place Sanitarium, which was located at 5227 Santa Monica Boulevard. He was stuck in a room with padded walls. Opiate addiction damages the immune system, and Wallace ended up getting pneumonia, which he couldn't fight, even though he was only 31 years old. He died in Dorothy's arms. His death was a huge scandal, along with the other recent scandals of Olive Thomas's death in 1920, which I've made a video about. Fatty Arbuckle's trial involving the death of a young woman in 1921, and the shooting of director William Desmond Taylor in 1922. I plan to make videos on Fatty and William in the future. It led to Hollywood trying to clean up its act and creating the Motion Picture Production Code of 1930, otherwise known as the Hays Production Code. It was named after Will H. Hays, who was the president of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America. A rating system was developed for movies which stated which type of audience it was suited for example PG or R. Also, the code stated which type of films not to make and which subjects were not acceptable. Wallace's last movie was 30 Days in 1922, although he appeared in a cameo role as himself in the film Hollywood in 1923, which was released after his death. Actress Lila Lee said in an interview in 1959 that he was a great musician and a good father and a good husband. Wallace's wife, Dorothy, co-produced and starred in Human Wreckage in 1923. She was billed as Mrs. Wallace Reid. The film depicted the effects of drug addiction. She even embarked on a national tour with the film to inform the public of the consequences of drug addiction. The other producer of the film was Thomas H. Ince, who I've made a video about. Human Wreckage is a lost film. A lot of Wallace Reid's movies are lost, but there are several that have survived and that are on YouTube. Dorothy and Wallace had their son, Wallace Reid Jr., who was born in 1917, shown here. In 1922 they adopted a little girl called Betty Mummett, who was 3 years old. Betty apparently went into real estate and died at the age of 48 in 1967. Dorothy died in 1977 at the age of 82. She never remarried. Wallace Reid Jr. made a few films and then became an architect. He died in 1990 at the age of 72 when his home-built airplane crashed into the water approximately 2 miles west of the Santa Monica Pier during thick fog. Wallace was cremated. His ashes were placed in an urn in Alcove B in the Azalea Terrace of the Azalea Columbarium in the Great Mausoleum at Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery, Glendale, California. Dorothy was cremated and her ashes were interred with Wallace, but only his name is on the urn.
Well, that was awful, wasn't it? If it hadn't been for the train wreck, he wouldn't have got addicted to morphine, and he might have had a longer life with Dorothy and the children, and a longer movie career. He was very handsome, wasn't he? It was a terrible ending for him. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.